Hey everyone, welcome to a new series we're going to have here right at the Winnebago Council called Gardening Through the Week. Each week we're going to be learning about different gardening skills, and you'll be able to use these for a multitude of adventure loops or even that gardening merit badge. Now, if you don't know who I am, my name is Katie Askelson. I'm the Lakeland District Executive here at the Winnebago Council. If you're a Cub Scout, you can use this information to help you earn your Baloo the Builder. If you're a bear, or fur, feathers, and ferns if you're a bear as well. Grow something if you're a wolf cub. Ready, set, grow if you're a lion cub. And build it if you're a weebelo. And like I said earlier, this information can also help you if you are a Scouts BSA member working on your gardening merit badge. We're going to be starting very basic with learning how to get started with planting our own seeds, to building a raised bed, to composting, and beyond. Now, you might be asking yourself, why do I want to start a garden? Personally, I used to not have any interest in gardening, but the more I've learned about it over the years, the more excited I am to actually have a garden of my own. So there's some really good reasons why you might want to start a garden besides being able to earn an adventure loop or your garden merit badge. You get some great tasting food. Nothing tastes better than having a homegrown tomato or a carrot fresh out of the ground. Having a garden also gets you outside. Right now it's starting to warm up. I know we've had a little bit of a cold snap, but it's getting warmer and it just makes it a great time to be outside, and having a garden gets you outside, breathing that fresh air and getting a little bit of exercise. It also allows you to have healthier food. Did you know that when you eat food at the grocery store, it actually has a decreased nutritional value than if you just picked it right off the ground? It's true. As food stays on the shelves for longer, it's actually going to start losing some of its nutrients. So if you get some farm fresh food or food right from your garden, it actually has more nutrients in it than if you bought it at the store. This also allows you to have less waste. I know personally, there's times when I have to throw out a lot of stuff in my fridge because I didn't use it, but this keeps you accountable for knowing, hey, I grew this myself, I want to eat it. And it also allows you to be able to use those food scraps for compost so that you can utilize that waste to turn it into something that will help benefit you. Gardening also allows you to have less environmental impact, which is always a great thing, along with allowing you to save money by not buying expensive groceries, and it gives you a sense of pride. When you get to see that homegrown tomato that you raised from a little seed all the way to when it has that fruit, that's just an incredible accomplishment, and you can be so proud of what you made. Now today, we're going to be learning how to plant a starting tray. But before we do that, we're going to learn a little bit more about gardening and ask ourselves some really important questions before we get started. Before we buy vegetable or flower seeds, we got to ask ourselves, what planting zone am I in? What types of vegetables do I like or that I want to plant? And what month am I trying to plant my garden in? Depending on the season, that's going to really dictate whether you can grow certain fruits or vegetables. Some do really well in early spring, some do better in the summer, and some need to be grown in the fall. It really depends on seasonality. You also need to ask yourself, do I need to start these seeds inside or outside? So when we're doing our starting tray today, these seeds actually are recommended to be started inside and then moved outside once they start to grow. And we'll kind of talk about that more as we get there.
So United States Department of Agriculture, or the USDA, has these great planting guide zones. So I'm going to click on Iowa, and we're going to look at what zone we're in. So we're in zone 5, so we're going to follow the zone 5 planting guide map. What's great about these planting guides is that it tells us when to plant certain vegetables and the best time to harvest them. It also tells us when to start them indoors and when they can be safely planted outside. Alright, what we're going to look at next is our zone planting guide. So like I said earlier, this has the different vegetables that grow in our area and tells us when we're in the frost-free zone. I'm going to scroll back up so we can look to see what the different colored bars mean. So if it's this reddish color, that means to start the seedlings indoors. The middle color, which is kind of a darker green to yellow, is to transplant them outdoors. And then the bright green is when to harvest the plants. These are great guides to know when to start your seedlings and if it's safe to plant them outside or not.
Now let's move on to our next question. What types of vegetables do I want to plant? You'll want to plant vegetables that you or your family enjoy eating. If you don't like a vegetable that you're growing, why grow it? Choose what you and your family like to eat. If no one likes Brussels sprouts, don't plant them. Plant something else.
Okay, let's look at the materials that we're going to need in order to get started with our garden. So today we're going to be planting some corn, squash, and bean seeds. These are relatively inexpensive. They're probably going to cost you around $2 to $3 depending upon the seed packets. If you go to local farmers markets, you actually might be able to get some of these for free. And what's nice is that you can also pick them up at any home and garden section at the stores. These packets contain a lot of information. They'll tell you how long until the plant matures, the height of the plant, the planting depth that you want to plant the seed, if you should plant it indoors or outdoors, and if it should be in the sunlight or in the shade. So I really recommend making sure you hold on to these packets after you've done planting them. That way you can refer back to the information that was on them. I also want to show you the backs of the squash seeds as well as the bean seeds to show you the planting depth for each one. Luckily, I could plant all of them at 1/2 inch. Our next material, you can either use masking tape or you can use these little sticks and write what your plants are, because when they're seedlings, it can be kind of hard to tell what is what. That way you always know what is planted where. This is a starter tray that we're using today. You can use any starter tray you want to. This one's nice because it has these little pods, which will make them really easy to transplant into the ground later on once they've matured some. You'll also need spray bottles to water your plants. For this particular starter tray, I already pre-moistened all of the pods. I used 10.5 cups of water to get them to look like this, and if any of the netting was kind of covering up on the top part of it, I just peeled it back. In each of these little pods, I'm going to plant 2 seeds per the directions that are on the starter kit, and I'm going to plant them to the depth of 1/2 inch. And how I know this is I drew 2 lines on my finger. The bottom line is 1 inch and the other line is 1/2 inch. Alright, now we're done with planting. So our next step is to just spray the pods just a little bit more, just to get them a little bit more wet. Some of them felt a little bit dry when I was planting the seeds, and I want to make sure there's enough moisture in there. After I am done spritzing those down, I'm going to put the top on my starter kit. And the reason why I'm doing that is that it makes it kind of like a terrarium, so it keeps the moisture in. And on the directions it said that when the pods turn a light brown to go ahead and re-moisten them.
And that's how you get started with your seed starter tray. If you're a seed starter tray like this one, it's also a good idea to keep the packaging. This one has some really good instructions on it. That way you know what to do once you start seeing little sprouts. And that's it for our video today. Hope you enjoyed today's video. Let us know if you are thinking of starting a garden, and let us know what kind of vegetables you guys are going to be growing. All right, we hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your week, and we will see you next time for Gardening for the Week. Bye guys.